If you are in an auto accident, it can be a frustrating and confusing time. That's why it's so important to be organized when you first meet with an attorney. Catherine Stone from Barbas Law is back to explain what you need to bring to that first appointment to make sure it's put both parties in a successful way.
Correct. I mean, a lot of times clients will come and they will not show up with anything except their driver's license. It's very helpful for us to, if you have a driver's exchange form, that's going to give us the name of all the parties that were involved, all the witnesses that may have been involved, or a crash report if there was an injury involved or a full crash report was involved. The crash report may not always be available, but if you have a crash report number that the officer should have given you at the time of the accident, anything with regards to that, so that we can obtain that information as soon as possible, because that's some of the first information that we need. The other thing that we want to make sure you bring is all your insurance information. You would be surprised, sometimes people show up and they don't even have their own automobile insurance cards on them. So it's always helpful, bring whatever insurance was on the car that you were riding in, if you have that available for you, or your personal auto insurance as well, cards, so that we can take a look at that and we can call and find out what the limits of coverage are.
You know, I'm curious, you brought up that very first piece of paper, that driver's exchange information. Is that something that you should carry with you, or what is that? Is that something I should have right now, or? Typically
the officers will show up and provide that documentation to you. It's not something everyone needs to drive around in their car with. It's typically used in an accident where no one is claiming any injuries or any property damage. If everyone just is kind of saying, hey, yep, we hit each other, but it's primarily used when no one's claiming any injuries. Doesn't mean you can't bring a claim later on for injuries, but it's basically just an exchange of information. Sometimes clients will just show up and amongst themselves, an officer may not have been involved, and they'll show up with a handwritten piece of paper with an exchange of information. That's fine too. It doesn't have to be the formal piece of paper. But if you're involved in an auto accident, make sure as best you can to get the other driver's full name, their auto insurance, if at all possible, their auto insurance policy number, and their address and phone number.
I mean, that's just stuff to remember, because I mean, in an accident, you kind of go through the checklist. Okay, I know there's stuff I'm supposed to do, but I just don't remember what I need to do right now.
So it's always important to get the other person's name, the name of their insurance company, and their policy number. That's the bare minimum if you should always get.
Well, and you know, one of the other things that it seems like I'm learning is these companies want to know about your history as well. So as far as medical bills, medical history, all things that you need?
I need all of that information, especially if you've been to the emergency room, or you likely will get an emergency room bill very quickly from that hospital or that urgent care facility. Make sure you bring that to us as soon as possible, and also any other medical bills that you're starting to get in the mail from any medical providers. Bring all of that information, because there may be, especially in the emergency room, there may be certain doctors who saw you but don't bill underneath the hospital. So anything with regards to your medical bills. And again, it's also important when you come to that first appointment, kind of know whether or not you've had any treatment for whatever body part you've injured before, so that you can provide the attorney with any names or addresses of any prior doctors, because that may be important, especially if you've had prior MRIs or prior x-rays of the same body part.
So I think it's fair to say that if you're sitting at home and you're getting your stuff ready and it's like, oh, do you think Catherine needs this? Yes or no? Bring it. Correct?
Yes, and I've had clients show up with trash bags with information. That's okay. I'll sit there and sort through it.
Well, if you do have any questions before you get to that point, just be sure and give Barbas Law a call, 1-800-BARBAS-LAW, or just go to their webpage at barbaslaw.com/knowyourrights. Thank you again, Catherine. We always appreciate your information.